Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. This is Q&A. Happy Friday. My name is Kim. We made it through the week. And I hope your week has had less stress. If you did have stress, I hope you were able to manage it as well as you can. Because that is what we need to do. Manage our stress. Okay. Try to use our skills, engage in self-care, be very mindful of where you are, because it's a lot happening. It's a lot happening, and energetically, we are in the washer, so to speak. Okay, so we are in the washer, child. And we are going through cycles, and we are going through multiple rinse cycles, okay? And we are just being agitated around, spinning. That's my washer metaphor, because my washing machine broke, and that's been on my mind. So that's why I'm talking about the washing machine. But it's an apt metaphor, right? You know, being cleansed, I guess, by going through hardships. Sometimes, though, I just wish that we didn't have to do that, go through that as humans, but I guess we do nonetheless. But anyway, I have a few questions that you guys want me to answer. There's a lot going on in the world, okay? And sometimes it feels like, I don't want to be dramatic. I'm not going to say that, actually. I'm not going to say that, because those are just my inner thoughts, just things I blurt out, because it's funny, because we could be on the floor crying, and I'd rather laugh. But anyway, I'm just going to say it. Sometimes it feels like when I see something and I hear something, I'll just be like, wow, this is, we're in hell. This is the seventh circle. When I see it or hear something, that's not usually actually, but sometimes that's my response. But I joke, I kid. Donald Trump, everything I say here is for entertainment purposes only. Everything I say here is for informational purposes only. Everything I say here is alleged, even in the comments, okay? And even the comments. Donald Trump didn't get the Nobel Prize, y'all. I mean, dang. That's messed up. Who would have thought? You'd think of Alfred Nobel and the things that he's done. The peacekeeper. Integrity. You know? Why wouldn't he give it to him? Hello? Why wouldn't he get it? But they gave it to a brown person who is actually an advocacy for democracy. And congratulations to her. Let me just pull her name up real quick. I thought I wasn't recording for a second. I was about to crash out. But Nobel Peace Prize winner 2025. Maria Corina Machado. Maria Corina Machado. Okay? Maria won the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, look her up. Congratulations to her. Well deserved. It's a lot going on in Venezuela. Much similar, not as intense, just as intense, been going on a long time in Venezuela. And it's well deserved. So shout out to her. Congrats to her. And shout out to Alfred Nobel, Anyway, oh man, they are really upset. They're really upset. Donald Trump is supposed to go to Walter Reed today. I don't know if he did already. It's late afternoon, so I don't know what happened there. I want to see why he went there. They apparently lied and said that he's getting a yearly checkup when he had one in April. I don't think they do that. But, I figured after he kept disappearing, they weren't saying anything. Now they're just like, let's just give these people a bone, because eventually they're going to catch up to what the true tea is, what is really going on with this man. Okay, so let's just put out a release, say it's an unscheduled visit so suddenly, and just lie about it. It don't matter. We've been lying about everything, so this is just adding to the list of things. They're not going to challenge us anyway, which is true. Okay, so that's gonna be one of my questions. Why he is going to the doctor. I mean, he's an older person, an elderly, who clearly has medical issues, who falls asleep like a kitten in the meetings, very important meetings, and his face seems to be drooping, apparently. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I do want to talk about that. Another thing I want to talk about, someone asked me about Leticia James and her not indictment. I don't know. Anyway, I always pull for her, and she'll be fine. She's gonna be fine. But it's just so, my main frustration with everything is I don't expect much from the media. I don't expect them to tell the truth. I don't expect them, but they're so complacent in everything. And I know why. We know why, because of who's bought these companies. But it's just like, the people sitting behind these microphones, when they sit behind their computer and decide to type something up, what y'all be thinking? I don't understand it. Y'all got to get to a point where y'all say what it is. That's the main frustration for me through all of this. Anyway, child. I'm just cleaning my glasses. Okay. That's better. No, one more thing I want to say before I get into the questions is I want to quickly talk about the things that I have been seeing the past week, real quick, about MAGAs, okay, these people, and things I've been seeing, and I don't really pay attention to. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. I take that back. I do see it. Okay, sometimes in my comments. I know some of you have family members who are in MAGA, whether they're parents or children, whether they are other extended family members, and you ask me sometimes, will they wake up, or will they see the light? Or I see things like, oh, they have to wake up in order for us to get out of this, which is not the truth. Or I see things like they're turning on him, which is also untrue. Okay, and like I say, the only way that these people, I don't know if they would wake up, but the only way that these folks a lot of them became radicalized. A lot of them, it's interesting because like they raised their children with these values and morals, and their children aren't like that. And then they turn into this because they're watching these news cycles, and they got indoctrinated and they got brainwashed. And a lot of them, then you got some who's just always been like that, but that's what happened to a lot of them. Okay, and so when I see videos, or I see things like, oh, MAGA's turning on Trump and blah blah blah, which is not necessarily the truth. And like I talked about before, there's a psychology to them. Okay, and how do I say this? It's just too much focus on them and what they're doing, in my opinion. A lot of them are not turning on Trump. A lot of them are recognizing their oopsie and voting against their own safety and security and stability because of their ideology. And a lot of these people are unhappy people. And like I've talked about, I say that because they affirm, Trump affirms this thing they have, this idea they have about the country, and, diversity, and feeling like they are this downtrodden, group, because other people, other more marginalized groups are being just given human dignity and being recognized. They don't like that, apparently. And so when I see things like, and I'm not saying, I know that I've seen a lot of people who have walked away, but it's more than just walking away. You have to change yourself completely. You have to change your complete ideology. I believe that people could change. People could go from being racist to not being racist, because racism is an idea and it could change. But it's a lot of work, because it's deeply in the core of inherent in a lot of non-Black people. Okay, and so the idea of MAGA, that they're turning, and they would still want to hold on to these ideologies. They're upset because now these policies are affecting them, and so now they want, this is too much, because they lacked the education, they didn't have the foresight, they can't make the connection. They forgot that they were citizens themselves, and that policy affects everyone. Trump didn't lie to you. He's told you exactly what he was going to do. Okay? And y'all didn't listen. Because you're misinformed, because of your ideas, your inherent hatred and racism, your indoctrination, all of those things. And so I'm not saying that no MAGA could change, or that a person who deals in this psychology can't change. I've seen it, and it's a wonderful thing. It's wonderful. I've seen it. I've seen people do the work. I've seen people question their cognitive dissonance, which is the main issue. But a lot of them won't change. When you're dealing with someone who's indoctrinated, it's tough. And so when I see questions like, what do I do with my MAGA family, or what, you got to let them go through what they're going through. And we have to, everyone focuses so much on them. They want to have conversations with them, the news. They want to get their opinions on things. They want to see, it's just like, they're not the only ones that suffer. Everyone suffers. But people are so obsessed with them for some reason. I don't get it. As opposed to having a real conversation. We're past exposing their psychology. They're feeling it. Yes, they are seeing that they made a grievous mistake, and they are suffering the consequence of the selfishness. But anyway, I just want to say that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. You can fast forward through this if you don't care. That's just, Anyway. 16 minutes in, or 18, I don't know, I can't see. I took my glasses off, but let's get to it. Let's jump in. What did I just do with my glasses? Oh. You're not dealing with normal people here. You're dealing with someone who is so disconnected from the reality. You're just gonna have to let them figure it out. They have to deconstruct. MAGA is just a tool, like it's just a thing, a trait, that's a part of them. There's a more pervasive issue happening here that they would have to deconstruct. That's a part of, they've made it their identity. Like a team, like a fan for a football team or a basketball team. They've made it their complete whole identity. And so it's more than saying, oh, Trump lied. They have to deconstruct everything. Because they could walk away from MAGA and still hold those ideas, hold tightly to them, and just find another avenue that is maybe less extreme, or fine, but still the same stuff. It's they have to deconstruct, and I don't know if they're capable of doing that. But anyway. Okay, question number 1. Kim Finley. Have you ever seen or channeled that Trump would try and flee? I get this question often. No, I don't see that. No. I've never seen it. I've never heard it. I've never, in my intuition. That would be the worst. And I'm not saying that would be the worst thing for him. And it would be the last thing he would want to do. Why would he want to give up all his power? Why would he want to do that? He has all the power right now. He is running a dictatorship. Or at least cosplaying as one. I say that because that's what he's doing. Is he successful? Yes, in a lot of ways. Yeah, in a lot of ways. we're in a very precarious situation, and it will take someone to lead that charge, whatever that charge looks like. But we are in a very precarious situation. It will be difficult for him because the states are so separate. I'm not an expert in what I'm talking about, and I'm going to answer your question, but this relates. He would have to make one, like the states make the choices on how things go in their state locally. So sure, you'd have some red states that fall in line with him, but the other states, it's going to be hard. I'm waiting for the line. We're at a turning point, but I'm waiting for the real turning point where someone says, hey, this man is using the Department of Justice to go after people. This is not normal. He is DMing them and accidentally posting the DMs on his social media. DOJ is not under his umbrella. But now it is. Department of Trump. Anyway, do I see him fleeing? That would be the worst thing for him. Will Donald Trump flee the United States of America? Would he flee the United States? Saying no. I'm not saying it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it would have to be extreme circumstances because I've been in this person's energy a lot. And his psychology is no self-awareness. He could be on fire and it'd be like, Mr. President, you're on fire. You should probably grab a pail of water and just put the fire out. And he won't do it. I know that's an extreme example because our instincts would kick in and we want to put the fire out. But I'm using this example to help you understand how he thinks. Leaving a position of power that he has right now, and he's delusional, and then you have people surrounding you that are kissing your feet and saying like, you're the greatest. Yeah, this is good. This isn't our fault. This government shut down. I saw it with my own eyeballs. It's even when you have a narcissist. And narcissism is very rare. People use it on the internet in the wrong way because only 1%, and I say 1%, is billions of people in the world, but it's a rare diagnosis for someone to get. Someone could have traits of narcissism, but no, this man is full-blown personality disordered. Okay, it is pervasive. And so him leaving, I would always say when all this stuff was happening to him and he was being indicted left and right and sued left and right, I would be like, please just go to Russia, because that would be his worst punishment, is fleeing. And so, but in terms of my intuition, I don't see him leaving that way. And if he does, if he was, let's say that is, part of the energy here. I don't see it. But let's say that it would be extreme. For what reason? And if he does, he would still claim being president. I guarantee you. He would still say, I am the president. And he would try to be president to wherever he fled. The Middle East is what people keep saying. And I'm just like, well, for what? For what? Energetically, I don't see that in his energy. If he happens to go over there and pass away, his essence has to go. Okay. But no, I don't see that. I'm not saying it's out of the realm, but for me and my intuition and what I've channeled and what I've been told, I don't see him fleeing. And in his energy, it's not a part of his wheelhouse. He has zero self-awareness in terms of danger, in terms of he was sitting on the stand when he was fighting the court, making speeches, just totally. No one could control him or tell him what to do. Next question by Lamby3. I like that name, Lamby303. There are too many Dems who are too quiet in the face of this catastrophe. Why aren't more speaking out like AOC and Jasmine Crockett? Why? Is it just fear? I want to know why they aren't fighting harder. Okay. You mean in the House or locally? I mean, that's a good question. I think the way I think honestly, I feel like there's a system with the Democrats, and they choose different people to be spokespeople, to speak out, to, with the idea that they are under one accord with whatever is said by AOC or Jasmine Crockett. They are the ones who are allowed to do that, I'm assuming. But I always encourage you to, and again, it's what people are being, what attention is given also. I don't think that everyone's just quiet and there's only 3 or 4 people. Those are the people we see because that is what the media pays attention to. Because there are a lot of Democrats in the House who do work. They just don't get the attention. But if you feel that way, if you feel, if you feel like whoever your representative is doesn't speak out, to let them know. I'm sure calls have died down. They'll take your call. Government is closed, so let's see the Dems. Okay, energetically, are they fighting or are they just? And the Magician and the 8 of Swords. Yeah, 8 of Swords is restriction from speaking, it's a mental restriction that you place on yourself, feeling trapped, feeling like your hands are tied. Hermit on the bottom. 8 of Cups. I mean, not 8 of Cups. Page of Cups. Page of Cups comes out a lot for the Wheel of Fortune. Queen of Cups. Two of Wands. I mean, they gotta listen. They got a program. A good example of, if you saw Hakeem Jeffries speaking to that Republican person, the way they all do. That's why my theory is like they're all in the chat together, Republicans, because they all argue the same way. Overriding with wrong data and information, but they just spew it, and don't let you. They ask a question and then override their question that they asked before you could answer it with more wrong data and information and lies. They repeat the same thing over and over. They've mastered that. But your question is about the Democrats. And is this a Two of Swords? No, that's the Magician. They have the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune in their energy. They have the Queen. Is that the Queen or King? King of Cups, Two of Wands. There are people who are getting work done and fighting in a different way. I will say that, do I necessarily want them to fight harder? Oh, yeah. They do need to fight harder. You're dealing with the Democrats is a particular type of, they care about decorum and process. They too are stuck in some sort of corporate cycle, but they govern and they want to take care of people. So they don't want to take everything from us or see us dead. So I prefer, but yes, I would like them. This energy, this Page of Cups energy here. The Two of Wands is there and the Magician. There's fight in them. But they, I think they limit themselves by their process. And the older Dems try to hold back the youth who could get things done. They use them in a certain way. But yes, you're right. They have to fight harder. Lambi. Oh, let's see if they will. How will they fight? How will the Dems fight? How will they fight? Can you show me? Ten of Wands. Edgar said they're very subdued in their approach. That's what he said. I said, how will they fight? And he said they're very subdued in their approach. Because that's what happens. I'm telling you, it's Ten of Wands. Queen of Wands on the bottom. Need some Queen of Wands energy. Six of Cups. The Empress. The Hangman. Four of Swords. Ace of Cups. The Fool. Okay, take some risks. They are taking risks. This is how they're fighting now. They're not giving in. Nine of Cups. Seven of Wands. Okay. Queen of Pentacles. Okay. Five of Pentacles. Two of Swords. Page of Wands. Queen of Wands. Page of Pentacles. Justice. Okay. They know what's important. I can say that. Okay. They do have a plan. This what they're doing is part of the plan. The Fool here, there's something has paved the way for them in terms of their fight. Like I talked about the Turning Point video. I believe I talked about them. The Fool says that the road is clear for you to go on ahead and move forward with this new beginning. It feels as though they're taking risks. This is a big risk they're taking. The Hangman is here, which is where this is how they're fighting. Literally, the government shut down. Okay? Hangman is about delays and pauses. And they are holding the line, and the Empress is here. Strong energy. Empress and Hangman. Empress is about wisdom and nurturance. They know what's important. Okay? I've been tough on Democrats. But I won't, They're doing what they do with what they got. Six of Cups. Six of Cups is bringing your experience in from the past into the present moment. Knowing what's important, looking at what's important. Ten of Wands, though, there's some. Ten of Wands is a 10, so it's an end of burdens. Getting to a point where you could finally put down all this stuff. They feel tired. They feel, but they don't feel depleted. There's a lot of new energy here. The seven of Wands up here, standing your ground. That's what they're doing. That's how they're fighting. Queen of Pentacles is planning, goals, security, stability, like very focused and stable towards something. They feel, with the Ace of Cups here, this is what the energy I'm feeling is like. They know that holding this line, putting this delay with the Hangman is going to garner something for them. The Four of Swords is a rest, it's a pause, it's deep introspection so that you could reset. They need that quiet, is what I'm being told. They need the quiet. What did I say? 2 or 3 weeks? What will be the outcome here for them? I did this with this fight, the way they're doing it. It's very strategic. Honestly, there's not a lot of swords here, but there's something. They're getting a rest in, honestly, like Five of Wands. Friction, disagreements with the Republicans, okay? So as of now, the energy isn't, the outcome is as a Five of Wands. There's still Five of Wands here. Do the other side. It's Temperance on the bottom. Temperance and Two of Cups. Okay. Queen of Cups. King of Cups. Oh yeah, they're going to get what they want. Two of Wands, like I said before, in the Star as the outcome. Yeah, they're going to get what they want. The Democrats. Okay. It'll take time though. Hangman is there. But that's how they're fighting. Okay. Remember, that's how they're fighting. If they give in, a lot of people will be suffering. A lot of people, even their own people. Okay. Next question is from. First, let me read the question. From his first term, Donald Trump? Steve Manchin? Munchin. Am I saying his name right? Probably not. No. Let's skip over that question. If they didn't get in trouble for their first term, they ain't getting in trouble. Because that was a long time ago. Vani R. Leticia James was charged with mortgage fraud by the Trump DOJ today. How will that unfold? Edgar's laughing. He really likes Leticia James, by the way. He says she's very powerful. Let's see what Edgar says. He's saying the case is weak. It will fall apart. And he's saying she knew this would happen. And he's showing me an image of her smiling. She was prepared for this. Okay. Here's a really this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but there's a video that recently came out. I didn't even ask a question. I was just shuffling. That's why I shouldn't talk and shuffle. If these cards come out, I know what they're saying. If they come out again, those are cards. What will happen with Leticia in this case? But this actually does relate to what I'm about to say. But there's a really good video. I can't remember the name of the content creator. Coach something. I'm sure you all know this man. But he made a video titled "Everything Kamala Said Was Right." And he talked about how all of the things she said that Donald Trump would do, he's literally doing right now. Bar for bar. He used the military against us. He used the DOJ for vengeance. Destroy the economy. What will happen with Leticia? 9 of Cups. Look at her. What will happen with her? Let's see. Leticia James court case. Her indictment. What will be the outcome of this? I see her smiling. He has people that aren't intelligent, is where he missteps. You could be as fraudulent and corrupt as you want to be. But when you are also not good at your job and stupid, that's where things fall apart for them all the time. That's why they resort to violence. Look, 4 of Wands on the bottom. 2 of Swords. Lots of confusion. Page of Wands. The Magician. 6 of Swords in reverse. It'll be tough. 10 of Cups. Lots of support. Page of Swords. Judgment. Strength. She knew this was coming. That's why she knows the risk of going after someone like him. Just like Kamala, King of Cups. 9 of Swords. 4 of Wands. Okay. Ultimate outcome for Leticia. You block these people. You never know with YouTube. Ultimate outcome for her. What is the outcome? The Hierophant. What's behind it? Knight of Swords. I knew the Hierophant was there, so there's that energy there. Justice. The outcome for her. Vindication. Justice upright. King of Pentacles. The Devil. Two of Cups. Temperance. The ultimate outcome is justice for Leticia James. Okay? She'll be alright. She's very much protected. She knew this was coming. She's smiling. And, you know, it'll be... I don't see the Magician is here. I don't see a battle, though. But, you know, ultimately, she'll come out on top. Because they're not very intelligent. Edgar laughed. Anyway. Next question. I'm not talking about Candace Owens. I don't talk about her. Don't care about her outcome. Don't care about what she got going on over there. Next question. Ellen. 1, 2, 3, 1. Is Donald Trump going? I am sending him love to move on. Jeez. To the other side, where he will be happier, and so will the world. Okay. I'm gonna tack that question onto why did he go, or is going to Walter Reed? Let's look at his health. Donald Trump. Let's look at his health first. Donald Trump's health. Give me an update, please. And his health is bad. He's very weak. Okay. Let's see if the cards reflect that. I mean, they put a lot of stuff in his body to keep him going. For entertainment purposes only. Donald Trump's up. I'm shuffling a lot, and it feels like my body won't let me stop. The Empress on the bottom. He's certainly being taken care of. 3 of Cups. Those are the doctors. 7 of Pentacles. Trying to help him get his life together. 2 of Cups. 6 of Swords in reverse on the bottom. Knight of Cups. Hangman. Queen of Cups. I pulled the last time I pulled for this man was the same cards in his health. Cups. You guys, guess what card this is? You might have seen it already, but I'll give you 5 seconds to guess. The Tower. Pretty locked in. I mean, you know. Baby boy's locked in. Ace of Cups. Four of Wands. There's Justice again. Justice. Need to find a balance. Need to listen to what your people are telling you. Nine of Wands. Five of Cups. These are his cards also. Empress. Three of Cups. Seven of Pentacles. Two of Cups. And the Six of Swords in reverse. Those are his cards. We have the Knight of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Seven of Wands. Okay. Ten of Pentacles. I'll just put this on the side here. This always reminds me of medical when this comes out for him. This thing here in the middle. This thing. This is them like fake trying. These are tests. There's no swords here. Okay. Trying to find some stability, security. Okay. Knight of Cups and King of Cups. Hold on. Knight of Cups and the King of Cups. The Tower and the Ace of Cups. He's not following. This man do what he wants. He does what he wants. He doesn't follow what they tell him to do. Six of Swords in reverse is no, like it's like stagnancy and you're not changing. But his, this Nine of Wands and the Five of Cups, his resilience is weakening. His fight, He has to find balance. But it's constant delays. These are major cards here. Okay? He has to find balance. Make right choices. That's what justice is about. Nine of Wands and the Five of Cups. Minor cards, but the message is sort of clear around these major cards is that your strength is weakening, And he's being taken care of. You have this Empress here. You have the Two of Cups there. You have the Three of Cups there. Okay, so show me. Okay. All right, let's see here if it'll come up. Page of Wands. I said, show me a court card if he's going soon. Page of Wands is a court card. Eight of Swords. King of Wands. Edgar said to say, show me a court card if he's going soon. And the Page of Wands came out. Pages are fat, wands are, it's rapid movement. But he doesn't listen to whatever, he has these appointments or these treatments and they tell him, but he doesn't, for some reason. Maybe he thinks he's invincible. I wouldn't put it past him. Okay. So, let's settle on that. Soon. To answer your question. It's soon. I mean, I feel it. And it's not something I'm, like I said, death watch. But his essence he has to leave here. He has to go. I think he has a weak heart. That, I feel like he has a weak heart. Okay. All right. Next question. Hold on, let me get my... DM3133 is asking, do you know who is my spirit guides? I sure don't. I thought I'd try. I can't help but wonder if I knew our connection would strengthen. It's pretty non-existent. It's not non-existent, you're just not listening. That's the lesson that I always get. You don't listen. You could listen for other people, but never yourself. Do I know who your spirit guides are? There's a woman around you. Actually, I don't know her name, but she is... You know this person, perhaps? They're an older woman, a very strong spirit around you. That's one of your spirit guides. The best way to connect with your spirit guide, well, there's no best way, I shouldn't say that, but some of the ways to connect with your spirit guides is to meditate. There are certain frequencies or pure tones you could listen to. There's so many on YouTube. Meditative Mind is a really good one. You can ask them to visit your dreams. Okay? You could even get an oracle deck that is geared towards spirit guides, spirit messages from your spirits. There's a really good one. There's a really good deck that I have. Is this it? No, that's not it. Well, I'll show it to you. I'll show you this one, and it. Okay. This is not a promotion. I'm just showing spirit messages. Okay. This is a good deck. And the Secret Language of Light. This is my personal deck that I use for myself. Okay. 2 good decks to start off with to connect. To connect to your higher self. This language of, Secret Language of Light is a really good one. Connect with your spirit guides. This is a good one. Another good one too is this one. Angels and Ancestors, Oracle cards. Those are my earlier decks that I showed you, the 2. Those are good decks. Start pulling some cards. Start connecting. You have to do work to connect. If you're curious about it, that means everyone has spirit guides. If you're curious about it, that means that is the universe, even your spirit guides leading you towards that. But you just have to think about what you feel drawn to. Think about something from the past, or like I'm very drawn to World War II stuff. So I'm pretty sure that that's one of my past lives. I'm, very, 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 very drawn to that point in time. Okay. All right. Next question. Green Eyes Bunny. Western religion speaks against card reading, channeling, and astrology, etc. I remember when you channeled Jesus and he said something to the effect of, believe what you want because I'm in everything. Do you think you can? Touch on how Jesus views this. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't speak for him, but so many of us feel we have gifts given by God, Jesus, but it collides with what we may have been taught growing up in the church. Okay. Thank you for the question. My family's very religious. I'm the baby of my siblings, and at one point they described my father in particular as at one point he was like insanely religious, and he couldn't listen to secular music. And there's one story where he like ripped up my sister's Michael Jackson poster. I don't know why. It's funny. And he was like insane, but then he stopped. I think my mother put a stop to it or something. But my family's religious. My grandfather was a pastor. I was not brought up in the church. So by the time they had me, they were just like over it. Not over going to church. My dad goes to church. My mom doesn't. My dad's very religious. But he's older, so he's older and expansive. My dad. He still has, that's a whole other conversation. But I didn't grow up in a church like my sisters did. I can't quote the Bible like they could. Sidebar. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to veer off. But, my sisters, I wouldn't say they're religious. My one sister, she goes to church and, but she's also not extreme in her beliefs. But I remember when I would go to church, here's how I knew I was different. When I have my robe on, in case you guys are wondering, I remember when I was younger and I would go to church and they would talk about stuff like that. Like, I specifically remember my family's Pentecostal, and I remember the pastor at that time would talk about like other religions, and it would piss me off so much. But I was young, but I couldn't understand why that talk made me feel upset and uncomfortable, and like this is wrong, you know. Um, Talk about like Buddhism and talk about like false idols and all of that stuff they talk about. And I remember most recently it was Christmas Eve last year. I went to church with my father because that's what he likes to do. So I said, oh, I'll go with you. I felt like going. What I enjoy about going to church is only the singing. That has always been. I just like the music. But when that man get up there to talk, I'm like, get me out. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I want to hear some good music. I'm sure they always put on a nice little concert around holiday times, and I always enjoy it. And he started talking about psychics and don't go to them, and just like, and witches and astrology and all that mess. All that mess. Because what frustrates me is that you're working under the assumption that if we are psychics, if we use tools, that we don't believe. And there are some that don't. There are some that subscribe to nature and source, and they just don't say God. You know what I mean? So that made me just like, I ain't coming back here. But anyway, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. And the thing about, let's say, Christianity, whether it's, Christian extremism, their beliefs, what they say, they preach against this sort of belief. And when I talk about Jesus, I always make it clear, I'm not a religious person. I am coming to terms with, like, I'm not a Christian. I would say like, oh yeah, sure, because that's the label. But I understand for a couple of years now that there's a separation, that I could separate myself from this man-made idea of a church and having someone up there talking to me, preaching to me, and I understand how it helps people. I get that, the community, but there's a lot of issues with it. So when I channel Jesus and I talk about Jesus, I'm talking about the person who's Palestinian, by the way. Okay, I'm talking about the person. I'm not talking about him underneath this man-made religion, as I understand it, and he's okay with that. And so, to put a pin in that and to bring it back to what they preach is wrong. But they're prophets. Anyway, don't go to psychics and all that. And, but the reality is that a lot of older religions, a lot of, let's say, those who were enslaved, my ancestors, had their own religion before colonialism, and they came in and taught them Christianity and used it as a weapon for fear and control. Okay, and so they taught them and took their religion. You have Haiti, they took their religion. Those things that we practice, a lot of the things that we look at, that was around before Christianity. We have all these gods and goddesses, all of that, Yoruba, all of that existed before Christianity. And then Christianity came, the white folks came and was like, hey, you guys are savages. We're going to give you the real deal structure of this white Jesus. And a lot of people were like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's forget, let's push this to the side. As the generations turned, I feel, I don't want to speak for Jesus, but touching on his energy, man, it's when I tell you he is a master, energetically, he just loves people. Okay? Because it's all connected. I don't want to, always caution, like, speaking for someone, but I could, in his energy, when he says, I'm in everything, he means it. It's like we do these things. We talk about God or source. We talk about nature. We talk about meditation. We talk about loving kindness. That's what it is. Light work. Not to harm people, not to cause harm, to be open, to feed those in need, to take care of the marginalized and the impoverished, to take care of the unwell and the elderly and the sick. That's what he did. The person. And so being able to deconstruct, when you look at it at its basic, without man, when you can transcend what man has created in the church, you're good. And it takes a lot of work, because there's a lot of religious trauma. It's a lot of religious trauma. But you know what? Quakerism, did a paper when I was in grad school on that. We did, papers on different religions when I, was getting my social work degree. And Quakerism was what I chose. I didn't know anything about it. That's why I chose it. And it's really like, yeah, this is kind of my zhuzh. They were abolitionists. A lot of, all of them. They really believe that you don't need a middleman to talk to God. You just sort of, their church is quiet. You just sit there or stand with your arms around yourself and you're meditating. They call it with light or something. It was a long time ago when I did this paper, but I like that. So it's do no harm. People think they could just say, like, oh, this is what God means. This is, even deconstructing, deconstructing my own beliefs in terms of, like, what my family brought, what they taught me. I never was like, I knew I was always different from like the elders in my family, or the people in my family who go to church and stuff, because I always had a problem with the preacher or the pastor talking about other religions or talking about the LGBTQ AI plus community. I always remember, I always had a problem with it, because I think maybe I was not influenced. I was not brought up in the church. But then neither were my sisters, and well, my sisters were, but they're not like that. Anyway, I don't want to speak for GAC, but do no harm is where he's at. I spoke a lot on this. But thank you for your question. Next question. Where am I with time? I've been going. This is an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. How many questions do I have left? So many. We are going to have to do a part 2. I just answered that question about Donald Trump. If you want, I talked about JD Vance in the last upload. Some of these I'm skipping over because I'm skipping over that one. Someone asked me about Kamala and running for president and who she choose. I don't see it, that energy is. Okay. Infinite curly fries. This will be the last question. Okay. Let's see here. I don't trust Netanyahu on the peace deal at all. I'm remembering correctly. If I'm remembering correctly, I think he bombed Palestine right after the announcement. Yes. 2. When does Spirit say that he's going to be out or removed from power? Oh, man. Oh, wait, there's more. Are there ice raids going to be ending or stopped? Okay. I read on him a while ago. Netanyahu, he has a few. Tell me his outcome. Someone was talking about him, and I think the last time I read on this man, I said a year or two. He has some more things to do before. What more can a person like that do, though, you know? He's really kind of been given 2 of Cups. He's really been given carte blanche to do what he does, no matter sort of who is president. Nobody will step in. It's really a shame. The Chariot on the bottom. 4 of Cups, 2 of Cups. King of Cups. Lots of cups. 10 of Cups. The Lovers. 5 of Cups. Ace of Cups. Nothing but cups. 10 of Wands. Death. 7 of Cups in reverse. 4 of Swords. Give me his ultimate outcome. The Devil. He's going to jail. He is going to jail. He'll be. I started to say. I'll just put this over them. I started to say. Confirm this for me. Confirm this for me here. But I started to say when I was page 1. I was looking at something. They were talking about him. I always say he has, before what came out about the starvation and everything, and this big bombing he wants to do to clean out. He wants to get rid of these people. But what I was saying was, before that, I was saying he has a lot of insidious plans, and that's what came out. But I was looking at something yesterday, and they were talking about him, and I was like, he's gonna get arrested. That's how he will be caught. He will be caught. He will be caught. Knight of Cups. All these cups. Page of Cups. All these cups. All these cups. The Chariot. The Three of Swords in reverse. The Hermit in reverse. Just the Emperor in reverse. These are upright, guys. I checked. And the Nine of Swords. All these in reverse. The Chariot in reverse. Oh, goodness. He's going to go to jail. His luck will run out. His choices will be limited. You talk about the air being sucked out of the room for him. How old is he? There are a lot of people who want him not alive. All those cups. And all these cups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are there cups here? Emperor in reverse. Emperor in reverse. His options will be limited. He will not be able to hide or run with the Hermit in reverse. He will lose everything. His choices will be limited. The Lovers upright and the Seven of Cups in reverse. These cups has a lot to do with people looking at what he has seen, what he has done, what he has ordered, what he has been in control of. All of these cups are very emotional. The people that will be capturing him and any card readers here, let me know what you think about all these cups I just pulled down in the comments with this man. Death, 5 of Cups is here. 7 of Cups in reverse and the Lovers. About choice, but 7 of Cups in reverse. The Emperor in reverse. Hermit in reverse. Hermit in reverse to me is like you can't hide anymore. You won't be able to. Limited choices, Something about emotions. And intuition, perhaps people knowing where he is and how to get him. You know? But I feel like another year, maybe. It could be less. It could be less. I'm hearing. It feels like it will be a thing that, process that will lead to his capture. I feel like his own people I said this before. His own people will turn on him. I said it before, and now I'm hearing it again. That his own people, they're tired. They're tired of him. Let me look at the time cards real quick, and then I'll let you go. Okay? Let's see if they could show me. Or I could also pull from... I'm not good with time. I feel more comfortable giving time predictions. It says, trust that it will happen when the time is right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It feels like he has to do... There's a process. My ear's ringing. There's a process that will lead up to this man's being captured. All those cups. It feels very emotional, the energy behind this man going down. Things happen sooner when you focus your energy on you. See what I mean? They never want to give a straight answer here. It's not the right time. Things will unfold as they are meant to. Yeah, so there's the answer. That, things will unfold as they're meant to. That's what I'm saying. Like, he has some stuff to do before he's really, really called to judgment. He got some more things to do. Okay? With Trump, he don't got too many more things to do. Spirit is weakening. Physically, is catching up. Is weakening. Okay? That's all I got, guys. This was long. We had a lot of conversation. I'm sorry if it's long. Please like the video. That's how you see me. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you guys again this weekend. Goodbye.